Good morning, my dear brothers. Welcome back to our biomedical ethics class. In our last class, we began with the topic abortion, the view of the church. And the title that we read was, God is the author of our life. And we explained and we learned how important is our human life, because it is the greatest gift ever we received from God. So it has to be safeguarded, protected and preserved from the very moment of our conception until our natural death. And we also dealt with the key points, how human beings are to be respected and how the dignity is to be respected and cared from the very beginning or from the very moment of the conception. And last class we stopped with the point of CCC, article number 2270. Now let us continue with the same topic, that is the view of the church. In Evangelium Vitae, who wrote Evangelium Vitae? Pope? Good. Now in the article 58 we read, Pope John Paul II clarifies that the penalty of excommunication Pope John Paul II in the article of Evangelium Vitae 58 states that procured abortion is a deliberate and direct killing by whatever means it is carried out of a human being in the initial phase of his or her existence, extending from the conception to birth. This is also known as induced abortion. I said the term induced abortion, it's already planned and with a free intention and free knowledge, which means abortion has taken place purposefully. Okay, abortion has taken place purposefully. That is what he says in the Evangelium Vitae, article number 58. And in another encyclical, you read the AL 42. What is AL 42? It's a beautiful encyclical. Amoris Laetitia. Amoris Laetitia of what you call the joy of love. Okay, titled as the joy of love is a post-synodal apostolic exhortation by Pope Francis. Okay, Pope Francis addressing to the pastoral care of families. It was published on 8th April 2016. Okay, so I put it AL, short form, Amoris Laetitia, translated as the joy of the gospel. The joy of the gospel. So, in Amoris Laetitia, the joy of love strongly opposes that policies supporting abortion, especially in the article number 42 we read that. And again in the article number 83, the Pope Francis argues that so great is the value of a human life and so inalienable, that is unable to be removed, the right to life of an innocent child growing in the mother's womb, that no alleged right to one's own body can justify a decision to terminate that life, which is an end in itself and which can never be considered the property of another human being. There are diverse practical ways to stop abortion, and adoption is one of the methods to prevent abortion, that he says in Amoris Laetitia, article number 179. Here Pope Francis, while addressing this exhortation to the families and the care for the children, that is in the year 2016, he tries to give importance once again the value of human life from the very moment of the conception. We can't simply say this is my child, my property, my body, I can do whatever I want. This cannot be justified in the view of the Catholic Church, in the view of Pope Francis, especially in the exhortation that he published in the year 2016, that is joy of love, that is Amoris Laetitia. That is what his argument is. Again, he says adoption is one of the best method to prevent abortion. For example, I am conceived, instead of aborting my child, okay, I shall give light to my baby, my child, and later if I have some issues, the economical crisis, social crisis, etc., etc., I shall gift this baby to some couple, to some other people who doesn't have the children, who doesn't have the children. Of course, we have to follow the procedure according to the civil rights, be it India or any countries. You want to adopt, we have to follow the guidelines of the civil, laws and norms. So that is one of the best method. Instead of going for killing an innocent baby, an innocent child, best way is to gift another couple who are lacking, who are seeking for the child, but they are not able to conceive. They are fertile, infertile, infertility. So those couple who are suffering, who long for children, best you give to them. Of course, we have to register or give it in the orphanage. They will take care, the Catholic orphanage, and they will see that the child is being brought up in Christian faith, moral values, of course, food and shelter, accommodation, and proper education, etc., etc. So the life of the baby is not questioned, not at the point of danger. That is what Pope would argue. The last method, we try to bring them up, but when you cannot, at least donate to some other couple or give it to the orphanage, so their other couples could come and they can adopt them. Okay, so that the abortion could, the ratio of the abortion, or it can be easily prevented. Okay, that is what he is trying to bring into awareness of those couples who want to, or who desire, who long for about it. Better give birth, give to some other couple. In case you want to see, you have change of mind, later you can take them. Of course, you have to follow the procedures and you have to make an agreement. That is what he says in Amoris Laetitia, the joy of love, in the article 179. We have a Bible quote here, Jeremiah 1:5. Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you, and before you were born, I consecrated you. Okay, I consecrated you. That is Jeremiah 1:5. How beautiful is gift of life that God, the plan that He has for each one of us. So much is concern and love that God shows even before our birth. Then how much we as human beings, rational beings, after learning all these things, how much we have to take care and dedicate ourselves to the people who are in and around, and so-called those couples who carry the children in their womb, how much value, how much care, and how much nourishment they have to give to their unborn babies who are in the mother's womb. Okay, you get me? What Pope want to say in Amoris Laetitia, that is a joy of love. Okay. Again, Catechism of the Catholic Church, article number 2271 says, since the first century, the Church has affirmed the moral evil of every procured abortion. You understand the term procured abortion? The abortion that is done willfully, abortion that is done purposefully, procured abortion. The teaching has not changed, okay, and remained unchangeable, ever since the first century, which means we are now 21st century. We are in now 21st century. Since from the first century, the Church has never changed her opinion, in the case of abortion, which means she is very strong, very adamant. And when the question comes at the threat of human life, threat to the baby, the Church will never keep silent, never change her view. Okay, you can do it. No, Church will never ever say. That's what it says from the first century. The teaching has not changed and remains unchangeable. Direct abortion, that is to say, abortion willed either as an end or a means, is gravely contrary to the moral law. It's very important. Abortion willed either as an end, as a means. Okay, the terms are very important. Is really grave sin, contrary to the moral and ethical law. You shall not kill. the embryo by abortion and shall not cause the newborn to perish. No? Because you may say, I am just killing a small small embryo, that which is in my womb, in my body, small cell. Of course, the cell has got life. The cell, the embryo has got life. You may say, no, the child is not formed, no heartbeat, no brain, no organs are formed. No, it's only 1 week or 1 day. But then the embryo, which is already formed, has got life. So that is very, very strong. Even the Catechism of the Catholic Church is very adamant, saying, you can't simply justify yourself saying it is only a small cell. It's very little lesser than what you call an ant, or even you have to see in microscope, very smaller. So that has got life. That has got life. You can't simply just wipe it away. As you wipe the table, saying what you call this very small thing. Let it go. No, it's a human life. It's a human life. Again, you shall not kill the embryo by abortion and shall not cause the newborn to perish. God, the Lord of life, has entrusted to men the noble mission of safeguarding life, and men must carry it out in a manner worthy of themselves. And life must be protected, respected with the utmost care from the moment of conception. Abortion and infanticide. See the term infanticide, which means the crime of killing a child are abominable or very bad or unpleasant crime. Okay, the term infanticide would mean the crime of killing a child, an innocent baby, or it is an unpleasant crime. Okay, that is what the dictionary would give meaning to the term infanticide. Okay. Now, let us move to our next topic, abortion and canon law. I am not going to speak about canon law. Of course, we have your class and topics there. Abortion, how it is reserved, who can absolve the sins and the punishments, etc. However, that which is connected with the morally, I shall lightly speak abortion and canon law. I shall not go very deeper because it is connected with the canon law. You have the canon law subject. But however, what does the moral theology say as we are dealing with abortion and the church? Let us also slightly touch a small point, that is with abortion. The code of canons, both the Oriental and Latin churches consider abortion very seriously. Okay, it's very serious sin. One who successfully completes an abortion incurs the penalty of major excommunication according to the Oriental code. Okay, the very fact that you do abortion, you are, whether what you don't, it doesn't mean you have to inform the church or church should come to know, then only you are no. By very fact, the law, you are done something, your conscience will prick you and say, man, you have done a murder, you have killed an unborn baby. So you are automatically, by the very fact you do this act, you are excommunicated. That is what the church would say. Successful completion requires actual death of the embryo or fetus. When you say have aborted, you should make sure the embryo or fetus is dead. You have killed, you have murdered an embryo. Understand the term embryo and fetus? Up to which week? Up to 8th week it is called embryo, later fetus. So what you call you can't say I just killed embryo, I just killed a fetus which is very small. No. But then you have to make sure, we have to make sure that you have done such an act. So successful completion of what you call excommunication requires actual death of the embryo or fetus. You can simply say if the means employed for abortion did not take effect, it is not successful and there is no excommunication. Okay, you tried to abort it, but then the child survived. Okay, then in the case you can't say you are excommunicated. The embryo still it is living in the womb, or fetus still is living. It is not the act is not completed. So for the successful abortion or successful what you call for the excommunication, They have to make sure the embryo or fetus is dead in the womb. Okay. Besides, absolution from the sin of abortion is reserved to the bishop. Okay, that is in CCEO. CCEO. That is the Code of Canons of the which Eastern churches. CCEO. Okay, that is Eastern churches. That is reserved only to the bishop or to those whom they are asked to do. That is in the CCEO. Besides, the absolution from the sin of abortion is reserved to the bishop. That is in CCEO. Okay, only to the bishop, unless he gets special permission from the bishop for that. Who? The priest. No one who want what you call give absolution. He gets a special permission from the bishop, where in what you call in the Code of Canons of the Eastern churches, not Latin, but in Eastern churches. Therefore, a priest has no permission to absolve someone from the sin of abortion. That is in the Eastern churches. For the sake of practical convenience, usually a general permission to absolve from this sin is given to the priest during Lent and what you call parish retreat, etc. Depends on the situation of the diocese, and it is completely reserved to the particular local ordinary, the bishop. Okay. When many people are likely to come for confession, when there are parishes or area, the cities or populated area where people come for confession, and where these things are taking place, of course the bishop can grant a special permission to the priest to do it. Imagine there's a parish or a town, populated area where these things are taking place. You can't send them everybody to the bishop. The bishop has got his own work and his own what you call functions. You can't sit there the whole day to give absolution to 2,000 people who come to. Of course, he's supposed to do it, but is what you call is other duties and other obligations he can, provided with the permission following the canon law. He can appoint some other priest or VG, whomever he wishes. Okay, he can appoint some other priest to give the absolution, but depends on the circumstance and situations. These are to be considered and taken care. However, it is reserved to the local ordinary in CCEO, Code of Canons of the Eastern churches. According to the Latin code, a person who actually procures an abortion, ipso facto, by the very fact itself, by that very fact or act, okay, incurs, procures what you call gets an excommunication. Okay. However, in the Latin code, the absolution from the sin is not reserved. Priest, okay, can absolve it. Okay, I shall explain now, not very deeply, but whatever I can from the point of moral theology. I suppose in your canon law, the professor will explain whatever is reserved to the priest, whatever what absolution is reserved to the bishop, depends on the gravity of the sin. Okay. Pope Francis has declared that priests have the permanent right from now on to forgive abortion. That is the Jubilee, the year of mercy. You remember what you call open the Vatican's St. Peter's Cathedral door, and those who enter in and ask for forgiveness, no matter whatever the gravity of the sin, would receive indulgence, would receive the absolution and of course the penance also maybe. But then he opened the year of mercy. From there he pointed out there's a permanent right for the priest to forgive sins on abortions. Okay, we shall read. I have taken from the Rome reports. Okay, report officially from the Vatican. Okay, these reports. His remarks come at the end of the Catholic Church Jubilee year, during which he had temporarily granted priest this power. Actually, he began a temporary permission for the priest in the year of mercy, but later he extended. Okay, In an apostolic letter, the Pontiff, that is Pope Francis, also restated that abortion was a great sin. He would never keep silent. Okay, he also agrees abortion is a grave sin. no, which ended a innocent life, no, which terminated, or which no, which is gravely evil, no, terminating an innocent life, that is baby in the womb. Catholics who have or perform an abortion can be immediately excommunicated from the church. No, he agrees with that. Okay, whatever church view from the first century, he agrees. He never says no. He agrees with whatever the church has said holds from the very beginning of first century. However, in the year of mercy, he gives a special permission, special privilege to the priest to forgive the faithful, forgive the people, when they come for absolution, seeking for the sins that they have committed, especially an abortion. Priest can absolve in the year of mercy. Of course, they say he has extended that right, that power to the priest permanently. Okay, in the Latin, okay. Again, a Vatican spokesman confirmed that there is no type of laxness here regarding the church position on the morality of abortion, but that the power given to priests meant God's mercy could cover all sin. How beautiful is these words of Pope Francis. God's mercy is unending, is boundless. Sure, whatever sins we commit, God is there at the end to forgive. It doesn't mean since God is forgiving me, every time I can do abortion and ask for absolution. No, this is not the of the church. By tapping, by accidentally, by threat, by forcefully. Now you repent. You come with a contrite heart to reconcile yourself to the church and to God. Okay, then God, what you call, priest gives absolution, and not to repeat the same mistake, the same sin we shall deal. There is no sin that God's mercy cannot reach and wipe away when it finds a repentant heart seeking to be reconciled. As I said, when you come with a pure heart, what you call a heart repentant, I shall not repeat anymore. When you come with a reconciled heart, ask for forgiveness, ask for absolution, sure, the church is ever ready to accept, to forgive, to wipe away your tears, to wipe away your sins in the form of absolution given by the priest, given by the bishop. Okay, when it finds a repentant heart seeking to be reconciled with God, Pope Francis wrote this in his letter. Mercy cannot become a mere parenthesis in the life of the church. It constitutes her very existence. Can simply come and repeat one after another the same with the free will, with the free conscience. Again, since church is one who forgives and accepts, I cannot do simply. I can't do simply. Okay, but you have to be careful not to fall into the same sin. May every priest, therefore, be a guide, support, and comfort to penitents on this journey of special reconciliation, said Pope during the year of mercy. Now we shall see two clips. It's about 1-2 minutes. During year of mercy, how Pope Francis declared the year of mercy and gave power, authority to the priest to forgive sins.
The Pope took the world by surprise once again with his document, Misericordia et Misera, Mercy and Misery, which was presented by the organizers of the Jubilee in a press conference. With this document, Pope Francis wants to emphasize that even though the Holy Door is closed, God's mercy is always open to all. In this document, the Pope lights the way for the future of the Church, so it can be an instrument of mercy for all, excluding no one. Pope Francis announced that he will give a permanent status to some of the provisions he instituted for the Jubilee. One of those provisions was that all priests could absolve the sin of abortion for the duration of the Holy Year. The Pope has now decided to extend this decree indefinitely. Bishops could delegate the faculty of absolving this sin to certain priests. The document allows all priests to do that, with no need for a bishop's permission. The organizers of the Jubilee announced the final numbers for the Holy Year. They estimate that around 700 million pilgrims have crossed the Holy Doors around the world. In Rome, it was 21 million pilgrims, 22 in Guadalupe and 5 in Krakow, where the devotion to Divine Mercy was born.
Good. Do you follow the video?
Yes, Father.
So even though the year of mercy, the Jubilee year is over, officially, the term they uses, the doors are closed. After the year of mercy, of course, it is open every day, but that particular year, those who pass through that door and seek penance and intelligence, they are given, they are granted. So although the year of mercy, the Jubilee year is over, still the Pope wishes that people come and they seek absolution from any priest. So he has given the right to absolve the sins to all the priests from the year of mercy, from the year of the Jubilee, Jubilee of mercy. Again, it was said that there were about 21 million people who passed through that Vatican, what St. Peter's Cathedral door to seek God's mercy, and it doesn't mean all the 21 million have committed abortion. No, it's only what you call in a way they are saying that people, they look for mercy, they want to be reconciled with the church, reconciled with God. 21 million, you understand, 1 million is equal to 10 lakhs. So 21 million from all over the world, they flocked to Vatican to enter during that year, during that year of mercy, to seek God's penance and to show that they want to reconcile and they want to have the pure heart. That is what Pope Francis now is very much compassionate and very much concerned to all the couples and families. That he wants all the couples and families, they enjoy their life with the Catholic Christian values and moral values. Also, he wants that the church should not be so much strict and what impose more laws on the people, so that they go away from the church. He speaks in a different context of different countries, different countries and different cultures. Doesn't speak on one particular country, India or Europe. He speaks, seeing the situation and cases all over the world. He says, let us not be very strict and what you call very forceful on our laws, of course, that which laws and what you call norms, we have to be strict, but then same time he is asking them what you call to be compassionate, to show our mercy when faithful come for such absolution. Priest be available, priest available to the people. I don't want to say which country and where. There are churches, there are priests. You want to have confession, I have told in the beginning of the class, you should have an appointment. You should have an appointment with that particular priest, a particular parish priest. Otherwise, he is not available in the church or for the confession. For the confession, people have to take an appointment, to make a confession, normal, ordinary confession. So he wants those priests be available as a parish priest. You have to be available to the priest anytime. Those who come for the sacraments. You and I are priests, to execute or what you call to perform the sacraments which are administered to the priest. You are a priest and you have the power to baptize. You have the power to what you call bless the marriage. You have the power to absolve a penitent, but you are not available. You are not available. You are busy with your own personal program. So to those priests, he says, be available to the faithful. The parish is the first duty and first activity of a priest life for those who are at least in the parish. Then comes your personal agenda, personal programs. To those priests, be what you call compassionate, be merciful to those couple who want really reconcile, who want really seek forgiveness from God and from the church. Do not be very hard and harsh to them. And when they come for confession, don't say, I am not available, I am busy, I am not here, I am out of station, I am out of state, or I am out of country. He says, first your duty is first to what you call be available to the people, to the faithful, to whom they are under your care. The faithful are under your care. It is your duty to what you call be available and give them the proper sacraments, the proper what you call graces which are given through the mass and other means of sacraments. That is what Pope Francis would say to those priests. Okay. In Evangelium Vitae, Pope Francis clarifies that the penalty of excommunication affects also all accomplices. All accomplices, which means those who assist okay, in abortion, be it doctor, be it nurse, or be it their own relatives or husband, those who assist, those who are involved, in abortion, and those who collaborate, who knowingly and willingly and with full knowledge of the penalty cooperates in causing the abortion. Okay, even they also should be excommunicated. Not only the mother or particular couple who do it deliberately, willingly, also to those people, who with their full consent, full knowledge, collaborate. Suppose if I am giving an idea, hey, you can do the abortion. Why you carry? Because the baby is not well or formed well, having some defects, or it happened to be a girl. About it, So I am giving idea, I am giving. So she gets information or idea, inspiration from me, which means because of me, the woman is going to, but otherwise she has no idea. She has no idea she wanted to do it, but since I influenced her, I persuaded her, tempted her do an act, which is morally evil, she goes for abortion. So in that case, I am also involved in this crime of abortion. Not only the mother, the woman, but also all those who collaborate, all those who collaborate with full knowledge. That is what, willingly. That is what it says. Through these punitive measures, the church is trying to conscientize the faithful about the seriousness. By the excommunication, the church wants to show how much the church is serious with regard to abortion, the act of aborting. About the seriousness of the evil of abortion. However, people who happen to do abortion on the account of grave force, okay, here comes different, on the account of grave force or threat. For example, I rape a girl, the baby is already formed, happen to be minor or major, baby is already formed. Now I don't want to reveal to the society, so I tell the girl, even to my girlfriend, for example, I don't want to tell to the society that I am already conceived, I am carrying a child. So I give a threat, if you tell, I will finish your life, or what you call, if you tell, both of our name and fame will go. They may think badly, so we shall abort it. You are compelling her to abort it. In that case, what you call in that case, the abortion is invincible. Ignorance about the penalty attached are minors who are 14 years old according to CCEO, or people who are under 16 years old according to CIC, do not incur excommunication. To those people who are under threat, who are threatened to do it, they do not have or they do not incur excommunication. They are exempted. Okay, they are freed because they didn't do it out of their free will, out of their choice. Somebody forced them. Okay, somebody force them or threaten them, if you do not abort it, I will kill you. When it comes to threat to the life, when it comes force which is not willful, they are exempted from the excommunication. That is what our code of canon law, CIC, that is Codex Luris Canonici, that is code of canon law, that is our Latin. Other one is CCEO. CCEO, Code of Canons of the Eastern Churches, okay, Corpus Canonum Ecclesiarum Orientalim is the Latin, okay. So that is what you call. In the case of Eastern Church, they will say, suppose if you are below 16 years old and you happen to be, conceived, and if you are aborting because of somebody threatened me, you are not excommunicated. And those people who are under, 14, those who belong to Eastern churches, and 16, those who belong to our Latin, those who are conceived and they do it abortion due to the threat, due to the threat or due to the grave force from somebody. It is not they are not excommunicated. They receive forgiveness, and they are in the church. That is what Code of Canon Law would say. That is what I said from the beginning. The Code of Canon Law, when professors teach you, they may deal more elaborately, more deeply. But for me, I just want to say the general opinion of the canon law with regard to the abortion. Okay. Again, number 2072 of the Catechism of the Catholic Church says, formal cooperation is an abortion constitutes a grave offense. The Church attaches the canonical penalty of the excommunication of this crime against human life. A person who procures a completed abortion incurs excommunication late sententiae. No, that is a sentence already passed. You don't have to go to the church and tell. By the very fact we are doing already, the sentence, the law is passed that you are excommunicated from the church. By the very commission, or very act of the offense, you are excommunicated, and the subject to the conditions provided by the canon law. The church does not thereby intend to restrict the scope of mercy. Okay, rather she makes clear the gravity of the crime committed, the irreparable harm done to the innocent who is put to death, as well as to the parents and the whole society. It shows the Catechism of the Catholic Church, again teachings of the Church, how strong it is against killing of an innocent baby. Okay,